KPBS On Demand is supported by the San Diego County Toyota dealers, offering a new 2025 lineup of vehicles at your local Toyota dealer, including a new Tacoma with turbocharged 4-cylinder engines and a hybrid powertrain option. The San Diego County Toyota dealers. We make it easy.
Good morning, I'm Debbie Cruz. It's Wednesday, February 26th. A former San Diego U.S. attorney says Trump's hold over the Justice Department could impact cases here. More on that next. But first, the headlines. More than 10,000 workers from 2 UCSD unions are set to strike today for better benefits and wages. The workers include more than 7,000 from the local branch of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. Another 4,000 are from the local branch of the University Professional and Technical Employees. According to the Union Tribune, the AFS-CME strike is planned through Thursday, while UPTE will strike through Friday. In a statement, the University of California says it's offered meaningful wage increases and other benefits to the unions. The strikes include staff from both UCSD and UC San Diego Health. Craft and fabric retailer Jo-Ann says it's closing all its stores and going out of business. That includes 6 locations in San Diego County. The company announced earlier this month it would close about half of its stores, but after the company was sold, plans changed. The struggling retailer filed for bankruptcy twice in the last year, most recently in January. Jo-Ann's store's website and app will remain open to conduct going out of business sales. Nonstop flights from San Diego to Panama are coming this summer. Copa Airlines says it will offer the nonstop flights to and from Panama City 4 days a week. The Central American airline is new to San Diego but operates extensively in Central and South America and the Caribbean. The new flights begin June 25th. From KPBS, you're listening to San Diego News Now. Stay with me for more of the local news you need.
KPBS On Demand is supported by the National Conflict Resolution Center. Geopolitics, a divisive election year, and strained budgets are all topics that can create tension in the workplace. NCRC can help workplace leaders navigate polarizing issues with the Culture, Communication, and Conflict Certificate. More at ncrconline.com.
Should homeless encampments be cleared when there's high fire risk? Reporter Alexander Nguyen says it's an idea that went before the San Diego County Board of Supervisors yesterday.
About 50% of the fires in California have been started by homeless in their encampments.
That's Supervisor Jim Desmond, citing a 2021 statistic from the LA Fire Department. Desmond says this is a public safety issue and not a war on homelessness. He wants county staff to look for ways to remove encampments on red flag warning days, when fire danger is highest. Desmond acknowledges there are a lot of logistical issues to work out, but the proposal only asks that staff come back in 90 days with options for clearing encampments.
Because we have not fixed homelessness yet. So I'm asking staff to address housing options, vouchers, potential parking lots, where we can potentially transport people and move them during high fire days.
The proposal passed unanimously. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
The San Diego Sheriff's Department is facing a civil rights complaint for a jail death. Reporter Katie Hyson says the lawsuit claims a persistent pattern of misconduct. This story contains descriptions of violence.
Brandon Yates was booked into Central Jail on January 15th last year. Within 24 hours, he was found tortured and dead in his cell. His cellmate was arrested. Yates' father, Dan.
The San Diego County jail system doesn't seem to value human life. The Sheriff's Department is aware of the existing problems, but consistently ignores them.
The complaint says the cellmate wasn't supposed to share a cell. He had a history of violence. It alleges Yates screamed for help for an hour, repeatedly pushing the cell's panic button.
Sadly, these failures are not isolated incidents. They reflect a deeply broken culture within the San Diego County jail system.
The department declined to comment. Last year, the county paid to settle another jail death, $15 million. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
The Justice Department states its mission is to enforce the rule of law, its values, independence, and impartiality. But legal experts warn the department's recent moves and memos signal an alarming shift. I spoke with Public Matters reporter Amitha Sharma about how that impacts San Diego's office. Here's that
Amitha,
interview.
the Justice Department has dismissed the corruption case against New York Mayor Eric Adams. How much of this worry among legal experts stems from that?
So much, Debbie. The Justice Department, as you know, ordered prosecutors to drop bribery and fraud charges against New York Mayor Adams just a few weeks ago without ever evaluating the power of that evidence. And if those prosecutors didn't do it, they would have been fired. Some resigned. The rationale for the dismissal of that case was it would have interfered with Adams' help in enforcing President Trump's illegal immigration crackdown. This move is viewed as a quid pro quo, and sources tell me it has unnerved every single prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office in San Diego because it violates two core pillars of their job, their integrity and autonomy. Former San Diego U.S. Attorney Carol Lamb says the Justice Department's handling of the Adams case is a warning shot to federal prosecutors to heal. She says heal. And one that will play out with the incoming U.S. Attorney in the San Diego office.
And I think you're going to see either total obedience or some push and pull and some difficult times that might come to pass if this next U.S. attorney is determined to do what's best for the community as opposed to just following orders from Washington.
Tell me, how might all of this influence which cases federal prosecutors in San Diego work on?
Well, Lamb believes enormously. She says if immigration cases are elevated above others, then that means local federal prosecutors will likely not pursue white-collar crimes to the degree that they used to, like bank fraud and healthcare fraud and public corruption. That includes cases like those against former Republican Congressman Duncan Hunter and Randy Duke Cunningham, both of whom Trump pardoned. Lamb was the U.S. attorney in San Diego, if you remember, when Cunningham pleaded guilty to corruption. Today, she says that prosecution might give her pause.
Now, if I were U.S. attorney and the same kind of case were to come into the office, I have to confess, I think that would be one of the first issues in my head about is this a Democrat or a Republican? And I just really don't think that that's what the American people want.
Amitha, Attorney General Pam Bondi also fired off some memos to federal prosecutors. What stands out in those memos?
The tone. It is to get on board with the president's agenda and the language. There's a line in one of the memos that refers to Justice Department attorneys, and it says if they refuse to advance good, fair arguments by declining to be in court or sign briefs, they are depriving the president, and I quote, of the benefit of his lawyers. Former U.S. Attorney Harry Litman tells me that is an obvious red flag because those lawyers are supposed to represent the law, the Constitution, not the president.
The message is whatever Trump wants, Trump gets, and there was a similar portion of an executive order that said that, and that means if Trump's views don't accord with the law, are not constitutional, you have to do them anyway.
And there is more language that states the obvious, such as, quote, there is no place in the decision-making process for animosity or careerism, and a statement that in the past, federal and state prosecutors have been weaponized. Litman says it's part of a theme.
They're full of little snipes and attacks on people within the department. You would never, ever, ever see that kind of insulting, nasty language in previous memos from previous attorneys general. And indeed, the notion is it's one continuous Department of Justice.
And just to close the loop on how all of this could affect local cases, one of the memos also rescinds a Biden administration order to enforce environmental laws in low-income communities and those of color. Littman says that means that environmental misconduct in those areas here in San Diego will likely not be pursued.
That was KPBS's Amita Sharma. Paula Casino is hosting a 2-day summit to draw attention to what organizers say is an epidemic of missing and murdered indigenous people. Reporter Tanya Thorne says the event has drawn tribes from across the country.
7 years ago, Khadijah Rose Britton disappeared from Mendocino County. She was 23 years old then and a member of the Round Valley Indian tribe. Michelle Merrifield is Khadijah's cousin.
We have a lot of people in our valley that have been murdered and missing, and Khadijah's one of them right now that is ongoing.
On Tuesday, her family traveled to Paula Casino for the 3rd annual Missing and Murdered Indigenous People Tribal Policy Summit. Robert Smith is the chairman of the Paula Band of Mission Indians.
Every jurisdiction is different, We have all these tribes, but a lot of them don't all click the same way.
The reservation hosted this year's summit to educate the wider community of the issue and the obstacles they face.
So we're just trying to share good experiences, bad experience, and try to come to help each other.
Smith says San Diego County tribes have a good working relationship with law enforcement and have very few missing Indigenous people cases. Other tribes are pushing for more resources and representation in their communities. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
The city of San Diego is supporting a refugee-run catering company as part of its diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Reporter Katie Hyson says the women have been leaning on each other for much longer.
United Women of East Africa's kitchen fills with the scent of crackling coffee beans and sizzling sambusas. The nonprofit started a catering company, Baraka and Bilal, over 10 years ago, after they realized the biggest need of the refugee women they serve is self-sufficiency.
People are saying, well, what's kind of causing us stress is that we don't have stable income.
That's partnership manager Bethlehem Degu. The city just chose Baraka and Bilal to receive services and business training. The program supports minority-owned businesses, even as the federal government ends support for DEI efforts and refugees. Degu says the women who run Baraka and Bilal are leaning on each other.
The last month has felt a little heavy. I think there are some people who are, a little bit fearful, maybe feel like they're not accepted. So maybe, they're kind of not wanting to go out. And then there's also some people who are coming together and saying, we're going to be resilient. We're not going to be afraid. We're going to be a resource to each other.
They plan to open a cafe in Rolando Park next month and invite San Diegans to get to know their food and them. Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
Muslim students in the San Diego Unified School District can take school meals home during Ramadan. Education reporter Katie Anastas spoke to a student participating in the new program.
This will be the first time 9th grader Rustam Shirzai fasts at an American school.
I'm not going to be that active. I'm not going to have that energy in the last hours of school.
During lunch, he'll go to Mira Mesa High School's psychology classroom to pray. He thinks his PE teacher will be surprised he's not running.
I run a lot I'm always active.
He says Ramadan is a time to take things slow.
You kind of change in that time. Maybe you're gonna be kind of skinny too after Ramadan.
Shirzai will still be able to eat school meals during Ramadan. A new waiver from the state allows districts to send breakfast and lunch home with students so they can eat them between sunset and sunrise. Farita Arakat is the program manager of the Majdal Arab Community Center of San Diego. She says students should ask for what they need during Ramadan, like places to pray and flexibility on assignment deadlines.
What we want is not that our youth and our community feels like I'll just adjust, but that we can also see where is there room for us to actually increase the ceiling a little bit, push it higher.
Ramadan is expected to begin Friday night. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
That's it for the podcast today. As always, you can find more San Diego news online at kpbs.org. I'm Debbie Cruz. Thanks for listening and have a great Wednesday.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Fleet Science Center's newest exhibit, Survival of the Slowest. See firsthand how nature's smallest, slowest, and weakest creatures can not only survive, but thrive in the wild. Open May 24th through September 1st. Learn more at fleetscience.org.